Hello, everybody. Buddy Webb, Midland, Texas. I got a little video I'm going to do for you. I think you're going to find it real interesting. It come off a Facebook post that I did today, and I've asked this question. I said, if it's found out there was somebody who had information on the underground homes here in Midland where a young girl was murdered and they did not report that to law enforcement, should they be arrested and charged? Second question was, would your answer be different if it happened to be your daughter that was murdered? So there's the question, and just think about that somebody has information on a capital murder. Actually, it's believed to be multiple capital murders because, the young girl that Angie told me about murdered at the oil show party 2008, October 2010. And then the previous young homeowner here, Michael Lahan, he dies the week before the 2008 oil show started. I believe we're going to find out he was murdered and taken to Fort Worth. Aaron Packelholt told me that 4 people had been murdered, died in my house. Proof was found that, I was ambushed and shot with my phone lines cut. Burglar alarms go in the attic. Somebody under my home, with proof found in 2019 that police were under my home that night. And then multiple people documented saying tunnels and underground homes are here. I mean, you could see it on, evidence, supporting evidence on Google Earth, Google Maps, etc. And so obviously they're here. Obviously they're connected to multiple murders. The question is, if is the people out there that are hiding these underground crime centers, can they go to prison for that? Isn't that obstruction of justice, right? I mean, I think it is. And my friend Rayetta Trigg, she's the first one to answer, says a crime is a crime, so it doesn't matter who it is, and yes, they should be arrested. And then I think I'm going to name this video "Who is Above the Law?" That's the question here. Who is above the law? Which people do we have that the law no longer matters for, and that they're okay to cover up these capital murders and allow these killers to remain free and go on killing other people? Okay. And so anyways, I replied back on that, Rayetta. I said intentionally withholding information about violent crimes is against the law, and the failure to report may allow these violent criminals to hurt or kill more people. I have a feeling a lot of people have information on these $1 million underground homes, which were hosting underground parties, and that was also believed to be for the International Permian Basin Oil Show. So there would be a whole bunch of people that would know about that. And Angie told me that high-level police were at that party, at the oil show parties when the young girl was murdered. That's why she's afraid to report it, y'all seen this many times. It's the Google Earth map. It's showing my home right here. This is where I was ambushed and shot, here on Google Maps. So, you could used to go to Google Maps and look up my address. So you see a big bunker in the backyard on the map screen. You can see it from above ground, and you got all these people documented saying that there's underground homes here. There's a phone call woman, recorded on YouTube saying that there's 4 3-bedroom $1 million underground homes buried at least 25 foot deep. She said they were having pedophile parties down there. Ricky Ronaldo, I have a screenshot. He said him and his brother used to go in the tunnels here. That we talked to Ricky. A phone call with a CAD programmer, Layla O'Brien. She said she worked on this underground project for PBK. It was finished in 1987 with a budget of $7.35 million on permit. It was put in for the Bushes. Okay. Another recorded phone call, also on YouTube, was with Sheriff candidate Joe Lozano during the election for Midland Sheriff, and I secretly recorded him telling me that our late Sheriff, Gary Painter, used to hide out in these underground homes here, okay? And then the evidence was found in 2019 via the police report for the night of the murder attempt on my life. And then, of course, the security cameras on the timestamps that proved that 5 officers, Davis, Dickey, Chatwell, Angel, and Hale, had entered my home from the underground entrance. And we know that because they were at or in my home, time-stamped at or in my home, and not seen arriving on the security cameras. All the other windows and doors are secured with extra locks, is noted on the police report. Angie McGee Hurley, my friend, told me about the girl that was murdered at the oil show party, leaving my home and there in 5 minutes. Real clear. She's parked in the front of Home Depot, going underground, and coming back via this tunnel you could see on Google Earth right here where they cut the tunnel coming directly at my house. In the backyard was one of the 4 underground homes. And that's where I believe the young girl. And then the remains of a young girl found 2013. This is a capital murder case, okay? Google Maps shows a large bunker in my backyard. I just showed you that, right here. here, and I notified the city that it gets deleted after being posted for 10 years or whatever. Google Maps shows the next one, video, concrete being poured behind my home after showing Homeland and tunnel location. I was back here with Homeland Security showing them where the human trafficking murder tunnel was at, where the young girl was being forced to prostitute, murdered at the wholesale party. 2 weeks later, the ground's dug up, they poured concrete. Homeland, I showed Homeland. They're supposed to stop human trafficking, not pour concrete to help the killers kill little girls that won't prostitute. And that's what it looks like is going on, And then there's a screenshot of Lance Eggleston. He told me, he says, we have access to your residence at all times. Nobody will ever believe your story of people coming from underground, right? You will be silenced, not if, but when. And I said, when are you going to murder me, Lance? Obviously, Lance knows that was just one of many death threats I got. You have to be an idiot to not know these underground homes are here with that many people documented saying they are. That's all there is to it, with all that support and evidence. Rayetta replied, she said, I already know from experience that even when illegal activity is taking place and it's reported, not a dang thing is done. And she's right. It's so frustrating with police corruption. I'm a lifetime supporter of police, but the police corruption is really frustrating for law-abiding citizens that report crime to police and they do nothing about it because they're involved in it. I think it's very possible that some people have reported these underground homes, crimes and murders excuse me, to law enforcement, and they buried it because proof was found that police were under my home on the night that somebody under my home cut my phone lines and shot me. I was also told that high-level police were at the oil show parties when the young girl was murdered for refusing to prostitute in October 2010. Okay, and here is just one little meme I created. It's the proof, where's the proof? Well, here's the proof. These officers showed up 19 minutes after I crawled out from being ambushed and shot with my phone lines cut. They wasn't dispatched. The first one was a sheriff from a whole nother county. The second one's a Midland Sheriff Deputy Mike Naylor is now dead. Some people wondered he wasn't murdered, and so it's timestamped. So these guys show up. So the front of my cameras watch. We know who shows up. And then the police report for the night of the murder attempt was illegally withheld for 7 years. It had been subpoenaed. They were hiding it because it had incriminating evidence on it. When I finally got a copy 7 years later in 2019, I see this comment right here Dickey makes. It says, no one in the house inside, and lots of odd things like booby traps. Tony Dickey. So Dickey was inside my home at 11:05. Woodward and Naylor there, 11:01. Dickey ain't seen arriving on the cameras, okay? He just mysteriously, like Star Trek, he just materialized in my house. He didn't materialize. He come in from the underground trap door the ex-wife had told me about and from where I'd been ambushed and shot. He was under my home on the night that somebody under my home shot me, and he wasn't the only one. There was 5 other officers, Davis, Dickey, Chadwell, Angel, and Hale. And with the real truth is, you can bet these 2 were also under my home. They just didn't come in from underground. They drove around front. That's what happened, and I'm sure there was other ones too. Let's keep on going. I agree that there's much more corruption at all levels, okay? And so here I went. And remember what I was talking about, this whole video is who is above the law. Because if you have information on, like, say, I know where them underground homes are, and they're connected to multiple capital murders, you're required by law to report that, especially if you're elected official, okay? So we're going to go here. It says, if it's found out that I'm asking a question, that our mayor and city council have knowledge of these $1 million underground homes that were hosting parties for the Permian Basin International Oil Show that are believed to be connected with multiple murders and crimes, but they have hid that from the voting public, then should they be arrested and charged, yes or no? Y'all go ahead. Anybody watching this video, comment and tell me yes or no. I mean, are they above the law? Does the laws not apply to Patrick Payton, our mayor, former preacher, okay? Dan Corrales, Robin Poole, Scott Dufford, John Norman, Jack Ladd, Lori Blong, if they had any knowledge of these $1 million underground homes posting parties for international oil shows and they hid that from the public, should they be charged? There's the question, yes or no. And I tell you what, I've got mails to contacted most of them, several with Patrick Payton back and forth, videos that I sent Patrick Payton. And so I'm going to say, yeah, absolutely, he knows. Okay. If it's found out that our chief of police, Seth Herman, had knowledge of these $1 million underground homes that were hosting parties for the Permian Basin International Oil Show that are believed to be connected with multiple murders and crimes, but has hidden that from the public, then they should also be charged and arrested and charged too. Should we arrest Midland Chief of Police if he's been obstructing justice in the capital murders here, trying to hide the underground homes for wealthy oil field people? And so here's our chief of police, Seth Herman. There he is, and there he's elected. Does Seth Herman have any? I have emails back and forth with Seth Herman. I'll be glad to share them with legitimate law enforcement because I believe he does have knowledge of them underground homes. If it's found out that Midland Sheriff had knowledge of these $1 million underground homes, Midland Sheriff Criner had knowledge of these $1 million underground homes that were hosting parties for the Permian Basin International Oil Show. They're believed to be connected with multiple murders and crimes, but has hidden that from the public. Should he also be arrested and charged? Here's Sheriff Criner, elected sheriff. Okay, I have over 100 emails back and forth with Sheriff Criner. He absolutely has to know about the $1 million underground homes that were hosting parties for international oil shows. I even have a check of him taking a $105,000 check from an oil company, right? Because big oil companies are giving our law enforcement big checks, right? And who would you think would be at an oil show party where a little girl was murdered and they don't want the public to find out? Oil companies, okay? The question's been asked if they're taking bribes to cover up the oil show party murders, okay? I'm not going to read that again to you. I'm just going to show the name. If it's found out that Midland, Texas Ranger Jeff Strain or other DPS officers, Texas Ranger, DPS, okay, had knowledge of the $1 million underground homes, etc., and they hid that from the public, then should they be arrested and charged? Here's the LinkedIn for Jeffrey Strain. I chose him because I have probably over 70 emails back and forth with Jeffrey Strain. He was assigned to my case because what happened, I was contacting Attorney General Greg Paxton, and somebody from Paxton's office told me to contact the Texas PIU, the Public Integrity Unit, is created by the legislature to investigate allegations of corruption. Okay, so I did as requested. I contacted the Texas, the Texas PIU DPS. And they assigned Texas Ranger Strain to my case. And I asked him, are you with the PIU? Oh, no, I'm just a local Texas Ranger and friends with all these other police that were there. He didn't say that, of course, but that's what I believe. I believe he was friends. Maybe he was there himself, So 70 emails goes nowhere with Jeffrey Strain. They pulled a fast one. They didn't want the PIU investigating it because it is public integrity, right? That is the problem. If it's found out that we had some Midland FBI agents that had knowledge of it, and once again, I ain't going to read it again to you, but I tell you what, multiple times I've contacted the FBI here in Midland, okay, and I can name them different stories. And here for 6 years, these were the secret police. We had 11 secret police, and here's the FBI going, our top priority is public corruption, right? And here I got pictures of cops for 6 years. I got a reward offered. I can't get them identified. They're caught on camera. They accidentally started a camera and were caught covering up a premeditated murder attempt. I don't know how much more public corruption you can get than that, right? And I was ran out of the FBI office. Even my last time to go to the FBI, and that was under the advice of DHS in 2019, and the agent refused to give me his name. What's your name? Call me duty agent. Yeah, but what's your name? Call me duty agent. And so I'm sitting there telling him, what's going on. He's pretty much ignored me. He's playing on his phone, and then he pulls up a picture on his phone, and what it is a picture of my bathroom showing the pry marks on the top inside door jamb. That was the proof picture showing that a burglar was trapped on the day of the murder attempt. And I believe that they have used that trapped burglar as an excuse to try to murder me in my house. And it may have been police that tried to murder me because it looks like the police were working with the burglars breaking in the home. If they arrested the burglars, it would expose the underground homes, the crimes, the murders, all that stuff. So they couldn't arrest the burglar, right? That was it. What they should have done was arrest arrest the burglar who was in the bathroom. It looks like they tried to kill me. And I believe that FBI agent knew that. That's why he went and pulled up that specific picture, proving that I was under a home invasion on the day I was ambushed and shot with my phone lines cut. Okay, so would anybody at the FBI is trying to intentionally cover up these crimes and murders, should they be arrested? Are they above the law? That's the question. Who's above the law? Okay, if it's found out that DHS agent Paul Cervantes or any other DHS agents had knowledge, etc., 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 right? Should they be arrested and charged? I contacted DHS because they're supposed to stop human trafficking. Little girl was forced into prostitution. A whole bunch of them were, and they were told they were going to be murdered if they didn't. That little girl didn't want to prostitute. They murdered her. My friend Angie was there, right? But she was afraid because the high-level police were at the party. Anyway, I'm behind Home Depot. That's where this is, and I'm showing Homeland where I believe where I believe the human trafficking murder tunnel is located. I found it on Google Earth Maps. You see where the ground was cut, coming direct to my house. In the backyard's one of the 4 underground homes, cost over $1 million, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right? Okay, so obviously the girl's murdered in the underground homes at the oil show parties. This is where the people in the oil show, they were parking in front of Home Depot, coming in, using this tunnel. I'm back here with DHS, showing them where a human trafficking murder tunnel is. 2 weeks later, they got the ground dug up. They're pouring concrete. I get it on video. 2 more weeks, U.S. Congressman Mike Conaway resigns, couldn't find out his brother-in-law used to live across the street. 3 months later, Secretary of Homeland resigned. And 6 days after that, Secretary of Energy Rick Perry resigns, former governor of Texas. Okay, and if they had knowledge of these $1 million underground homes in these parties, and or especially if they're trying to cover them up, the capital murders, could they be charged? Are they above the law? That's the question, right? If it's found out that our Midland District Attorney, Laura Nodolf, had knowledge of these $1 million underground homes, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Okay? And I'm going to show you. She's one of our elected officials. She's the district attorney. She's the one who should be filing them charges against some secret police in my house that were caught tampering with evidence, you know. And just the other day, I saw her ID in my people you may know list. That means Laura Nodolf was on Facebook. She was checking me out, you know, but I have a feeling Laura Nodolf might know about $1 million underground homes where they were hosting parties for international oil shows, you know. Okay. I found out that if it's found out that Texas Attorney General Greg Paxton had knowledge of these $1 million underground homes, were hosting parties, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, the Attorney General of Texas. I have many emails from the Attorney General's office and myself because I was contacting them way back. I mean, 10 years ago, I was contacting them about these crimes. But the question is, if the Attorney General had knowledge of these $1 million underground homes that were hosting parties and murdering little girls, forced them into prostitution, and he's tried to hide that from the public so then let them killers go free, then should he be charged? You know, is he above the law? You know, and we're not saying he is, we're just asking the question, yes or no, okay? And then get somebody to investigate. If it's found out that Texas Governor Greg Abbott had knowledge of these $1 million underground homes or hosting parties, okay? Once again, you know what? I was contacting Greg Abbott. Greg Abbott was the Attorney General before Paxton was, okay? Because Perry was the governor when I was ambushed and shot. I was contacting him before he became governor. I've contacted him. Obviously, he knows about $1 million underground homes that are hosting parties for international oil shows. So then here's the question. Is he trying to cover it up? If so, could he be arrested and charged for that obstruction of justice in these capital murders? Okay, and not saying he is. We're asking the questions. I got the emails saying that you know, I believe he does know. Okay. If it's found out that President Biden had knowledge of these, let's go all the way to the top, right? Had knowledge of these $1 million underground homes that were hosting parties for the permanent oil show that believed to be connected to multiple murders and crimes, and hidden that from the public, should he be arrested and charged? Our President of the United States, and you know what the truth is? He's just the latest president. I contacted Trump, you know, before he was elected, during his election. I contacted Obama, okay, you know, and of course Joe Biden was vice president when I was ambushed and shot, you know. So there's some huge people in there. I'm asking these questions. I just got this. I ain't even read it. I'm just going to read it while I'm here. Question 1, absolutely. There we go. Yeah, nobody's above the law. Question 2, absolutely not. But in my opinion, my daughter is your daughter, so the desire for justice should be exactly the same. More people should feel that way. If they did, there's be a dramatic reduction in crimes against women. Okay, and I'm not sure. Well, this was asking about the young girl. Would your answer be different? And she says, no, it would not be different. And so it means something when you put the shoe on the other foot and it's your daughter that's murdered at an underground oil show party, and being told you're going to prostitute or die. And what are you going to do about it? You're going to call Criner? You're going to call the FBI? You're going to call Seth Herman? You're going to call the Attorney General? Who are you going to call? How about our press? What if members of our press have been intentionally covering up information on these capital murders just to hide it from the public? Should they be arrested? There's the question. Who is above the law? How many murders is going to go on before we hold somebody accountable right here? There's the question. Buddy Webb, Midland, Texas.